Yo, what's up guys? You're back with your man Tech Nick, your go-to guy for videos on the latest tech. Now today it's about the latest tech once again, as the Huawei Nova 5 Pro just released here in China, and I must say I'm really excited to unbox this device. I know that Huawei have had some serious issues of recent times with the states, and that affects their Google Android operating system on the devices, but I can assure you that Android 9.1 Pie is on here, and it will indeed be getting a Q update as well in the months to come. All Huawei devices actually will. Now, the reason why I am so darn excited for this phone is because this is practically what the Honor 20 Pro should have been, and it is almost half the price of that device. Now this comes packed with an AMOLED panel where that does not. It comes with a bigger panel at 6.39 inches. It has the same 4 cameras at the back, though the cameras are slightly different. I'll get to that in the unboxing and tell you guys the differences there. It comes with a 40-watt fast wire charger in the box, which is absolutely incredible, guys. I'm really impressed with that. It comes with a Kirin 980 chipset, which is really cool, but unfortunately that is going to be replaced by the Kirin 990 chipset by the end of the year. So just keep that in mind if you guys do decide to pull the trigger on this phone. But starting at just over 300 bucks, it's really hard to beat something like this, other than something such as the Xiaomi Mi 9, which goes for around the same price with a 7nm Snapdragon 855 chipset, though I do think that some features in this phone will make it more worth it. I'm super duper excited to unbox this phone. It is indeed the 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gig version in green. So without further ado guys, this is Tech Nick, and let's go! Okay guys, so there is the phone itself. I'm gonna take it over there, not turn it around, and keep that for a surprise later. So it does indeed come with a free cover, but it is a real cheap silicone case. You know what, it is better than nothing, and it's cool to be able to protect your phone from the get-go. Most devices these days, especially budget-friendly phones, don't give you a pair of earphones, so it's cool that Huawei do still do this with their budget-range devices. Now, with this, bear in mind that the device does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack, so I do think, and yes, I'm correct, they have bundled in a Type-C to 3.5mm jack adapter here, so that loses a point when it comes to something like the K20 Pro, which has indeed kept it for the same price range. A Type-C cord over here. So we have Type-C, we have that signature Huawei and Honor purple over there, and it looks nice and neat. And on the other side we have the same purple in a Type-A port. Now this is unfortunately only USB 2.0 speeds that you'll be seeing through these cables and through the connector on the device itself, so don't expect such fast snappy OTG speeds and transferring files between your PC and your phone. And the last thing that we do indeed have in our box here is the Huawei supercharge block here. Now you guys can see that this is 10 volts and 4 amps, and for those of you who don't know, you take the volts, you times it by the amps, and you get the wattage. So this is a 40-watt block out the box, guys. I've never ever seen such a great block in a budget-friendly phone over here, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to do a charging speed test. Talking about chargings over here, it shouldn't take very long since this only sports a 3500 milliampere cell in it, smaller than Huawei's flagship offerings, though pretty similar to their P30. So this should give that a run for its money, and with that 7nm Kirin 980 chipset, we should see pretty great results in the battery drain test as well as the battery charge test. So there it is. It's like a very dark green, more of like an emerald green than a light green, and I really like it. I do have my ring light over there, and you can just see how the reflections are shooting off it. I think it looks absolutely superb. It looks really fantastic, and if you guys take a look when I bring it a bit close over here, you guys can clearly see the color is a little bit lighter over there, and it looks damn fantastic. I must say this is one of the nicest colors I've ever seen on a phone. So while I boot up the phone, I just want to go ahead and pop the cover on over here for you guys. As you guys can see, it's a pretty cheap cover. It doesn't really highlight the phone, and I would definitely recommend getting a third-party cover as well. On the right here we have the power button, which is unfortunately not textured, which I do prefer. I also prefer there to be a split volume rocker, but most companies aren't doing that these days, so I'll forgive Huawei for that. There's also a really cool like kink in the side over here, which makes it feel nice and premium. And then taking a look at the top here, you guys can see the dual slot tray here with support for NanoSD
made by Huawei, up to 256 gigs, which is pretty cool though. It would have been better if it was a micro SD card support. But nevertheless, the favorable Honor 20 Pro does not support that, and this does indeed support it, so that's good to see. And then taking a look along the left of the device, you guys can see it's nice and clean right the way through with that wonderful little kink. I'll get to the comfort of the phone in a minute. Then at the bottom, we have the USB Type-C ports, as well as a downwards firing speaker over here too. We also have the two little antenna lines over there. Now taking a look at the back of the phone, we have the wonderful Huawei logo over there. Then moving on to the quad camera setup over here, guys, we have a main lens which is 48 megapixels. Now this is not the standard IMX586 sensor that most people do see on budget-friendly phones that everyone has come to love and have a spot for in their hearts, but it is actually an IMX582 sensor. Now the difference between the two is very slim. They take pretty much identical photos. Everything about them are exactly the same. The only difference, the only downside with the 582 sensor is that it cannot record 4K at 60 FPS, it is limited to 30 FPS. And the reason why Huawei have done this is because the Kirin 980 chipset cannot support 60 FPS yet. Hopefully with the Kirin 990 chipset, it will support it. So even if you guys go out and splurge $1,000 on Huawei's P30 Pro or Mate 20 Pro, you guys will still be limited to 4K at 60 FPS. Nevertheless, those have slightly better cameras than this, but this still is paired with a 48 megapixel flagship Sony sensor, and that is one incredible lens. We also have a 16 megapixel ultra-wide sensor over here, which is really cool to see. It's not the highest count that I've seen, but it is nice to know that they have included that as well. They do not have a telephoto option over here. Unfortunately, that is one of my favorites to go for in a camera lens, but they have opted for a 2 megapixel depth sensor, strangely enough. Then we do indeed have not a 3D time of flight sensor, but we have a 2 megapixel macro sensor, guys. So that is really interesting to see that they've opted for that. And I'm really interested to see how that would go. I would have preferred a 3D TOF lens, and I would have preferred a telephoto lens, but that's the standard, and they're trying to stand out and keep the costs low and give you some interesting tricks up their sleeve as well. Huawei are really doing some things with their quad camera setups, and I'm glad they haven't just copied and pasted the current formula. And I have set up the phone now just to take a look at that wonderful screen, and we have that 6.39 inch glorious OLED panel over here, and that is why they have opted for the teardrop notch style over there instead of the hole punch. The Honor 20 Pro and the Honor 20 got the hole punch, but unfortunately they are just limited to IPS displays. So in this teardrop notch over here, we do indeed have a 32 megapixel selfie cam. Now taking a look at the fingerprint sensor of the device, it is an optical one, and I have gone ahead and set it up. So just placing my finger over there, you guys can see how ridiculously quick it is. It is just as quick as the one on the Huawei P30 Pro, since it is indeed using the exact same optical sensor. So you guys are getting flagship quality stuff in a budget phone. And let's test out facial recognition. You guys can see it is practically instant. It is pretty much the fastest I've ever seen. Well, I mean, I say that with most of them, but that is, if they go straight in, they are definitely up there with the top dogs, guys. I'll be putting it in a speed test to see how it weighs up against other phones, so stay tuned for that one, guys. And before I let you guys go, I just want to test one or two things in the camera department. Okay guys, so I'm just going to use my Asus ROG Spatha mouse over here to take a few snaps on the phone and see what it can do. Go ahead and take a snap of the mouse over there. And there we go, guys. You can see the quality of that photo. It is absolutely stunning with that 48 megapixel Sony sensor. Ultra wide, let's see how ultra wide does. There we go on ultra wide. Top quality again with that 16 megapixel snapper, though it loses a slight little bit of detail as well. Here is super macro mode, and now I'm gonna get super close to this Asus logo over here, and I'm gonna take a snap. I'm gonna take macro mode off and take a snap of the same logo really up close. That's with macro mode off, and that's with it on. That is one epic feature. I don't know how often I'm going to use it, but it's really cool to know that it's here. And obviously with that depth sensing mode, I'm going to have my computer in the background over here, and I'm going to go ahead and take a snap of my mouse over here, and then you guys be the judge of the photo to tell me what you guys think of that depth sensing, if it's as good as 3D TOF. I think it looks absolutely incredible, since it is indeed paired with that Sony IMX582 sensor as well, so they're using the two simultaneously.
So there you guys have it, the Huawei Nova 5 Pro. Now I know that this phone is a bit of a mix-up because of when it is releasing, this whole release window it's in, with the whole Huawei muck happening in the States, and in and amongst really great valued Snapdragon 855 processing chip phones such as the Redmi K20, the Xiaomi Mi 9, and the Lenovo Z6 Pro. There are so many, it's unbelievable. But in this price bracket, you have a really great feeling phone. It has some really nice chafed edges around it. It has a really popping AMOLED display. It looks absolutely incredible. I can't tell you guys enough on how awesome the display on this phone actually is, and the fact that they have ditched the whole punch just to get AMOLED in here with this rock solid fingerprint scanner over here and absolutely incredible facial recognition. This phone is top quality, paired with a 3500 milliampere battery, 40-watt supercharger in the box from Huawei. It should do incredible things on the battery front with that awesome 7nm Kirin 980 chipset. Maybe it cannot match the speeds of the Snapdragon 855 processing chip, but remember, because this is Huawei and this is their chip, they have optimized their phone seriously well. Just like Apple optimizes iPhone with iOS, Huawei optimizes their Kirin chipsets with their Huawei devices. Now this honestly does not feel like a budget phone. This almost feels like what the Huawei P30 regular edition should have been, and at this price range, almost $250 cheaper than that. I cannot wait to bring you guys more tests such as speed tests, camera tests on these quad cameras at the back of the device, and comparing it to some other devices in its price bracket like I mentioned. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did unboxing the Huawei Nova 5 Pro. And until next time guys, this is Tech Nick.